To start this theory, we must first talk about his good friend Kuzan, aka Aokiji. Many speculate he could be a member of S.W.O.R.D, and for good reason. He left the Marines and is now working with the Yonko, practically the same thing Drake has done. We all know he has morals and is on friendly terms with Marines like Smoker, Garp, and Sengoku. What this tells us is that there's no way he would actually want to affiliate with Blackbeard, and it's just undercover. Another thing that makes me think he could be a part of S.W.O.R.D is his attire before and after being an admiral. There seems to be a standard dress code for being an admiral. Fujitora clearly wears something unconventional, but that matches his overtly rebellious nature. When Kuzan was an admiral, the way he dressed fitted in with the other admirals, so that tells me that he didn't really choose his outfit naturally as he would. However, after being an admiral, we got to see what he chooses to freely wear. It actually looks like what he wore as a vice admiral, which means he clearly had more liberty in what he chose to wear as a Marine before becoming an admiral. I say all of this to point out that despite the color theme of the Marines being vastly white, Kuzan wore mostly black. This concept of using black-colored Marine apparel is actually quite reminiscent of D.S. Drake's pirate ship, which happens to be a recolored Marine ship. I believe this points to Kuzan possibly being a part of S.W.O.R.D even as far back as the destruction of Ohara. That reason is trivial compared to my next point. Kuzan was willing to commit an act of treason back then. Although Jaguar D. Saul tried his best, it was truly Kuzan that allowed Robin to escape. And he even then proceeded to look after her from that point on, even going as far as to spare her life many times despite her being a pirate. Robin is one of the most dangerous individuals alive in the eyes of the world government, so then why would Kuzan do that? Is it simply because his friend Jaguar risked his life for Robin? I don't think so. His allegiance to S.W.O.R.D may be more than his obedience to the world government. If Kuzan was willing to spare Robin, why kill someone he cares about? The most logical answer is that he wanted to kill Saul before the Marines got their hands on his friend. Or perhaps he killed Saul so that the Marines and the world government would think he is dead. Was Jaguar D. Saul's death fake, and what could that mean for the story going forward? Before getting to that, let's explore a related hypothetical. Was Jaguar D. Saul a member of S.W.O.R.D before or after his supposed death? I think it could be just as likely to go either way. Jaguar is incredibly moral and even has the D initial. I think he would fit right in with S.W.O.R.D. However, he could be a bit too outspoken and rebellious, which I could see as being a problem for a secret organization such as S.W.O.R.D. S.W.O.R.D members probably have to bite their tongue when the world government orders the Marines to do the cruel and unusual. I believe that Sengoku is a high-ranking member of S.W.O.R.D and possibly even the leader. He chose Jaguar for this mission because he had a plan. That plan was to have people on the inside of the Buster Call operation try to allow some of the scholars of Ohara to survive and escape. However, even if Jaguar was a member of S.W.O.R.D when ordered to initiate the Buster Call against Ohara, he may have felt the need to quit, as he couldn't sacrifice Ohara for the sake of keeping his rebellion a secret. He wouldn't go as far as to blow all of S.W.O.R.D's cover, but he couldn't just sit by and watch the massacre. So did Kuzan allow Robin to live and escape because of Jaguar? I theorize that it was truly the plan of S.W.O.R.D all along. It may not have been Robin specifically that was planned to have survived and escaped, however, that is how things panned out. Now, regardless of whether or not Saul was a member of S.W.O.R.D before his death, I do think he definitely is a member after. We all witnessed Kuzan free Saul, but does that automatically mean that Saul is dead? We have already seen people get their entire bodies frozen and survive. Now let's get into the semantics of the names of Kuzan's techniques. Ice Age can be seen as a double entendre. It not only refers to freezing the person due to cold temperature, but the age part could refer to being frozen in time. Then there is the move used on Saul, Ice Time Capsule. No double entendres required. It's quite straightforward. It's literally a move meant to freeze something in time. A time capsule is something that is only meant to be sealed away at one point and unsealed later at another point. It's been in our faces the whole time. I speculate that Kuzan froze Saul to get him off of the world government's radar. At a later point, unfroze him. If Saul wasn't a member of S.W.O.R.D before being unfrozen, then that was the moment he was recruited. In order to get Saul to keep himself and S.W.O.R.D a secret, then they would have to reassure him that Robin is alive and taken care of. In conclusion, Saul is alive and a member of S.W.O.R.D. I believe this means we will see Robin have a closer connection to S.W.O.R.D than expected. I anticipate that at some point S.W.O.R.D will save Robin from their rival known as Cypher Pole elisdeezee. And at that point we will see a heartfelt reunion between Robin and Saul. In my opinion, this should be more expected when you consider the similarities between S.W.O.R.D and the Revolutionary Army. We already know Robin is close to the Revolutionary Army, and whether she is aware of it or not, S.W.O.R.D may have her best interest in mind as well. In fact, in a prior theory of mine, I speculate that Law could be affiliated with S.W.O.R.D, and I have a related upcoming theory that Law is affiliated with the Revolutionary Army. That's it for Food for Thought. I made it short and sweet, but if you'd like to hear me elaborate more, then stick around for the secret ending. If you like Food for Thought, then check out the rest of my channel. Want to see some actually well thought out analysis and theories with a bunch of evidence to back them up? Well then check out my series, Deep Dive. Thanks for watching. Thank you for joining this secret ending. If you are accustomed and if you usually join the secret endings, then this theory may seem familiar to you, because this theory actually first appeared in the secret ending of my Law is a part of S.W.O.R.D theory, in which I go over it much more briefly. I decided that was a good enough theory that I could make its own video where I detail it better. Now, if you remember from that theory, I also said there was a part 2 coming up in which I talk about Law's relation with the Revolutionary Army, and also I go into why I think he wants the One Piece. And that video is coming along swimmingly. I'm about halfway done editing it, and it should be out soon, hopefully next week. I really want to get this one out because I know there's been quite a few people that ask me, where is the second one? And at some points I wasn't sure if I was motivated enough to make the second one, but I always had it like in my mind and ready, not ready to release, but ready to make it. And I just needed that motivation, and lately I've been having that motivation. Things have been going good for me, and yeah, it's coming along. So it will be coming out. In fact, since I've edited a lot of it, I'm actually going to show a little preview here, I guess, so enjoy. It is possible that Robin has been on S.W.O.R.D's radar since she became the infamous Devil Child. In part 1 of this theory, I implied that S.W.O.R.D may have been supporting Law with or without his knowledge, and the same could be true for Robin. The Cypher Pole are a threat to Robin, so it would be on theme for the rival of ages to be protective of Robin, although I can never see Robin being an actual member of S.W.O.R.D. If it weren't for the fact that Robin was still part of the Straw Hats crew, she would have definitely stayed with the Revolutionary Army, but she's better off a pirate because she can read the poneglyphs and go to Laugh-Tale. In chapter 996, Robin and Law are seen talking to each other. He even tells her his family secret. Is the possible connection between S.W.O.R.D and the Revolutionary the reason for their closeness? If we really get into the semantics of this conversation, there are two things to make note of. First off, let's talk about Law saying, "You are the only one I would tell this." Now, he could be saying that because Robin is a Straw Hat. However, I find that unlikely. It would be more befitting to say, "I'm only telling you this because we're allied," or straight up just because you are a Straw Hat. Not only that, but look at where they are at. They appear to be in a secluded area with no one else around. I believe he's specifically telling Robin because they have a secret connection, and I believe it involves S.W.O.R.D, the Revolutionary Army, and possibly even Tequila Wolf, but more on that later. The second thing to make note of is that he says, "I've made up my mind." And if you recall, in part 1 of this theory, I said it is possible that when Drake freed Law, he didn't know for sure Law was going to be on the side of S.W.O.R.D.